News, glorious news. We're anxious to hear it. What's up, nerds? It's Monday. It's 8:54 in the morning. It is a lovely spring morning here at Site B, looking at 80-degree weather before we get hit by the latest edition of aerial flood. It's 29th day of January 2024, which means the first month of the first year of the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons has come to an end, and somehow Wizards of the Coast has surprisingly made it an entire month without churning up that much in the way of controversy. People are so desperate for controversy, they are readdressing topics from over 5 years ago because they have nothing to talk about, because Wizards of the Coast is kind of finally maybe keeping their head underwater. On the other hand, because they're being so silent, we have absolutely no information regarding what their plans are for the 50th anniversary. In fact, as of today, pretty much nobody is acknowledging it's the 50th anniversary. You think by now there'd be a t-shirt or something, but other than a few little things, not really. But it's Monday, which means it's time to plot our course and take out our teehee sextant and look at all the tabletop role-playing game news stories that are shaping to make the week what it will. What will the ever-changing, never-ending maelstrom of tabletop role-playing game pointless controversy spit up this week? In regards to the 50th anniversary and the conversation we just had a second ago about Wizards of the Coast not announcing anything, well, actually, that's not 100% true, because they did announce something. They actually announced it a while back, but nobody was paying attention, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who mentioned it. But they just wanted us to remind us again that as of February 1st, 2024, Planescape Adventures of the Multiverse will now become the official setting for the Adventurers Guild's adventures, all starting. Anything new, once they tie up all the existing campaigns for the Adventurers Guild, which should all be ending around the next week, all the new official sponsored canon content in regards to D&D will be Adventurers Guild Planescape centric, which is a good hint. Now you might be thinking, so what? Well, this is a good hint as to what direction Wizards of the Coast might be taking Dungeons & Dragons in 2024 and 2025, because remember, anything that appears in the Adventurers Guild is official, is canon, is 100% confirmed by Wizards to at least exist, and it does show us stuff now that we might see later on in general populist Dungeons & Dragons, because official sponsored play stuff is them basically running scenarios first before the rest of the world gets to see them. So before you got to see Storm King's Thunder or Tomb of Annihilation or anything else, variations of these adventures were tested and played through by the Adventurers League. So by Wizards of the Coast saying, as of the next beginning of the next run of Adventurers League's official content, it's going to be Planescape centric. They're pretty much kind of reconfirming what we've all believed, that Planescape will be the core setting for 2024 D&D. Or as Jeremy Crawford said in one of his many nonsensical posts, D&D 5e has always been about Planescape since day one. Didn't know that, but apparently it's true. Now moving on to the rest of the tabletop role-playing game news this week that involves wizards or non-wizards. We don't have a lot, but we do have a major story that I'm waiting to the end, because this one's probably going to piss people off. So from our news digest this week, thank you as always to our friends at EN Publishing for making this available. If you ever want to see where I get my information from, use the link down below to check out EN Publishing. And remember, whenever you click their links, you give them money. So basically, I am shilling for them. So yeah. Again, not a lot this week. I think the biggest news other than that was this should come as no surprise to anybody announcement that Hasbro is working on a Dungeons & Dragons themed virtual reality game. Wow. I think I'll have a heart attack and die from lack of being surprised for that one. They're doing some 50th anniversary figures from WizKids, Hasbro and WizKids. We saw some of those figures last week, and wow, they look amazing. Evil Genius Games and Netflix resolved their issues over the legality of the Rebel Moon role-playing game, and they've decided not to go any further with the lawsuit. Has been settled. If Netflix does anything further with the Rebel Moon, it will not be in conjuration with Evil Genius Games. We know that Zack Snyder had a ton of stuff planned for the Rebel Moon universe, but based upon how well the first episode did, maybe Zack needs to rethink his plans and instead focus on his Army of the Dead universe stuff or something. I don't know. And finally, as of the end of 2023, regarding statistics from D&D Beyond of the most played class-race combination, the most played class-race combination, according to D&D Beyond, which is what, 50 million people? Human fighters. Human fighters. Why is that important? Why is it important that the most popular class race in D&D for 2023 was human fighters? Well, I think it disproves all the people who are saying that the tourists, the purple-haired tourists, only want to play tiefling warlocks and dragonborn bards and what, No, it seems that people still appreciate the core three, and the most popular character played in 2023 throughout all of D&D Beyond games, both official and unofficial, human fighters named Bob. Human fighters named Bob. So take that what you will, people who think, all the tourists are playing are purple-haired tieflings. That's it, okay? All right. Now let's take a breath. I'm going to take a sip of my water here because we're about to get into the other story. And this one's a little spicy. So, content warning. We're going to be discussing the controversy of the weekend, which could end up being the biggest forest fire of 2024. It could equal to or even exceed the OGL of 2023, because the amount of people who have involved themselves with this should come as no surprise to anybody. But, oh yeah, everybody's made this about them. Wow. All right, so content warning. We, of course, are talking about Grim Jim and the video he put up about this topic. Now, this is a 2-hour long of Jim reading an article regarding harassment and Twitter and certain situations involving certain individuals who were treated unfairly and then later discovered it was fake. Now, Jim has been a victim of this online harassment for years. I am very familiar with Jim's story and very familiar with some of the individuals that were involved in this story, having grown up in, Van Nuys and having met some of these individuals in the past. And as a victim of my own tabletop role-playing game harassment and rumor mongering, I'm very familiar with it. So, obviously. So, Jim found this article. He read the article. He, in his usual way, remain relatively political free, except, of course, he has involvement in this story. He felt it was important that people knew this existed and that these events did happen, and the individual who went and did this research discovered that some of these accusations made towards people in the past were not true. And the summation of the entire article was basically the Twitterverse, the Redditverse, the Facebook verse, the YouTube verse, the Twitch verse of tabletop role-playing game commentators over the last several years is very, very dysfunctional and very quick to tell lies about people and attack people and involve themselves in situations that have nothing to do with them in order to make a quick YouTube buck. And that a lot of the horrible things that some people have said about people might not be true. So Jim did this video. And the video went live a couple days ago. I don't know if we have the exact time and date, but I first saw it 3 days ago. So Friday night, he put this up. I don't know the exact time. I saw it, I think 3:30. By 4 o'clock, the Twitterverse was aware of it. We're commenting on it. Some people agreed with Jim. Some people disagreed with Jim. A lot of people attacked Jim. A lot of people got themselves involved with this. And of course, because the article was written by a female, a lot of people attacked the article, saying both negative things about the writer, about the article, about the topic, blah, blah, blah. Some of it was pro, some of it was against, some of it was, oh, yes, I believe this happened, but the woman who wrote this sounded very base. Oh, yeah, I think this probably happened, but, it because look at the way she wrote it. She doesn't really sound like, or it's base, it's self-centered, it's blah, blah, blah. She doesn't know what she's talking about. It doesn't sound like she's an academic. Some of these things don't sound true. Of course, a lot of people are saying this is suspect bullshit. Jim made this up. Jim, whatever. Jim's only posting this because he's looking for sympathy. People called other people morons. How dare you take Jim's side? How dare you not take Jim's side? Jim surprisingly was surprised about the reactions to this and has continued to make follow-up videos on it. When people called him out on it, he provided the link to the actual article and the explanation for why the article went live and then got taken down and how he found it. He also found video files and audio files detailing the interviews, which seemed to add some credibility to the story, of course, because Twitter and Twitch and YouTube and humans being what they are, people found fault in that, and people found fault in the recordings, clickbait, and it's not real. It's dark, it's what do they call it? Dark fake, deep fake. It's not a real person. That's an AI. Even though people have said, yes, that is that person's voice, I can confirm that's person's voice. Other people are saying, no, that's not true. And this thing has gotten so convoluted that, of course, people are making it about them. Either this doesn't affect me, so I don't care, so I'm going to talk about it in multiple posts. I think this is a suspect, but I'm not going to do any actual research on it, but I'm going to talk about it because it makes me relevant. How dare you post this, Jim? Or because by you posting this, Jim, you're, plenty of negative things, plenty of reactions. The reactions were generally, well, after the last couple of years, the reactions that the article got and what Jim posted shouldn't surprise anyone. In fact, things got so deep into the rabbit hole that one of the last person in the world who I would think would get involved in this got involved with this and found himself the victim of some of this ridiculousness. And that's King Waspinator. If you're not familiar with King Waspinator, he is a guy I like a lot because he's funny. He self-publishes stuff. He's the creator of the Total Party Skills role-playing system. This is King Waspinator. He made a comment on this situation, and apparently, amongst other things, he angered RPG Pundit. Now, you might be saying, well, King Waspinator, this situation has nothing to do with you, except King Waspinator managed to find some things in the article that were worth talking about, and that got him attacked by many people. And then many other people, including apparently RPG Pundit. Now, I don't know whether RPG Pundit agrees or disagrees. I haven't read what he said about it, but we know that he involved himself with this. So I was just surprised of all the people that this would bring out to the forefront is this guy. Because this guy is rarely ever involves himself in the Twitterverse nonsense. And if you've never checked his stuff out, he is hilarious. He is highly skilled. He self-publishes 50 books a year in gaming stuff. His Total Party Skills system is considered really, really good. So yeah, check him out if you haven't checked him out. But so somehow this got Waspinator involved. And Grimm is just still talking about it in the sections. He posted the I don't want to talk about this anymore video. So, of course, people are now saying, well, now we've got to talk about it. Some people are saying, well, maybe, if this came to the attention of the actual press, there'd be some more validity to it. Other people are like, I don't care. The most interesting ones are, of course, the people who are trying to make it about themselves. Like, oh, this is suspect, so I'm going to make a 2-hour video about how I suspect this is not fake. because it doesn't involve me. It's not about involve me, blah, blah, blah. You're either like Grim Jim or you don't like Grim Jim. And if you like Grim Jim, you like him and you support him. And you're like me and you're like 90% of the stuff I agree with. He's one of the few people in the field I respect. Occasionally he says things that I don't agree with, but whatever. Or if you're one of the people who don't like Grim Jim, then you're going to just find fault in it and find more reasons to not like Grim Jim. And you're going to cherry pick. One of the ones I read was like, blah, blah, blah. This is important, blah, blah, blah. You need to talk about this. But let me just say the article, I found something wrong. I found something wrong. I found something wrong. Mind you, this article doesn't involve me or individuals I know, and I didn't do any actual research, but I read what you read and whatever. Now, I have my own theories that you might have heard before about why so many people go after Grim Jim. And if you're not familiar with Grim Jim, then you probably have no idea what you're talking about. But Grim Jim, amongst other things, hosts a YouTube / no longer YouTube, but hosts a bi-weekly show called Tabletop Topless, or Table Topless, where it is Grim Jim running games for people who are in the adult industry. And he's done this for a while. In fact, Grim Jim and Satine Phoenix have been friends for a while. So occasionally on this show, some of these adult entertainment professionals take their clothes off and do adult entertainment professional things during the show. And this show's been around for a while. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the people who do not like Grim Jim do not like him, because how dare he get to see naked women play D&D when I don't? How dare you, Grim Jim, play D&D with boobies? You get to see boobies. You get to play D&D with porn stars, and I don't. That makes you a horrible person. Because when you read some of the stuff people have said about him, you can just tell they're cherry picking. They're so desperate to find something wrong with Grim Jim. And then you read further, and it's like, bitch, it literally reads to me like you're just jealous because he gets to hang out with naked women and you don't. So you're going to find any reason you can. And because of this article does involve one of these adult film workers of the past, Zach Smith, and the other adult workers that were involved in the situation that the article addresses, you gotta wonder, oh, how dare Grim Jim know Zach Sabbath, who was a porn star? How dare Grim Jim know Satine Phoenix, who was a porn star, and have to play D&D with her when I did it? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so there's definitely some cherry picking involved. There's definitely something jealousy involved. And I guarantee you this story will probably be the controversy of the month, if not the year. And we'll be milking it for a while because we need reasons to be angry at the gaming industry and angry at each other. Right? Am I right or am I wrong? Now, if I'm wrong, this story will go away within 24 hours and we'll find something else to talk about that is more important. Because while this story is important, if you've ever been a victim of online tabletop role-playing game harassment, if you've ever been the victim of the gatekeeping, if you've ever been the victim of the rumor mongering and people bad-mouthing you, which I have, I think we know my story well enough. Then yeah, it's horrible. And if even 1% of what this individual wrote in the article is true, it's definitely something that needs to be addressed, because people have had their lives affected negatively by these comments. And it doesn't just, I mean, it's every walk of life. The internet allows people to say whatever they want about people without any repercussions, because you can just make shit up. And since you're not, you're just a voice in the wilderness, you don't have to back it up. You can just cherry pick whatever you want. This is a perfect example. All the stuff people said about Mount Colville when MCDM hit 4 million. Perfect example. All the stuff people said about Kelsey when she hit 1 million in her Kickstarter last year for Shadow Dark. Perfect example. We need reasons to be controversial. We need reasons to be angry at these people. We need reasons to involve ourselves in these things to be relevant in the Twitter universe, because otherwise, I guess we die. Well, that's pretty hypocritical, OGGM, because you're talking about it. Yes, I am. But by now you should know that's what I do. And this does affect me because it affects Jim, who I consider a friend. It affects individuals who I know because I grew up in Van Nuys. I am friends with, members who have, people in the past who have worked in the adult film industry. I am familiar with the Zach Sabbath and everything that happened to him. And so there you go. I mean, yeah, it does involve me tertiary, but I'm not going to talk about it again. And hopefully by tomorrow we will have forgotten it and moved on to another story. Can I just say again that of all the people I am surprised that got dragged into this, King Waspinator would probably have been the last on my list. Anyways, that's all I have to say about it. That's it for the tabletop role-playing game news. That's what we're setting our charts by. And obviously it looks like we're going to be setting our charts by the announcement that apparently it appears that Planescape is going to be the official setting for 2024 D&D and the Grim Jim thing. And I hope that's not the only thing we find to talk about this week. I really don't, because I don't, I'm of two minds of it, but one of the minds is I don't really want to hear about it again. Till next time, stay safe out there. Avoid the radar. Drive 55.